Morning everyone, I'm here with Jennie Gorman from Connections Unlimited, and we're going to talk about networking and masterminding, and I've been really keen to hear Jennie's opinion on the difference between the two and what's working at the moment and what's not working. So Jennie, welcome along.
Thank you very much, Geoff. It's great to be here this morning.
Thank you.
And to have a chance to chat to you and talk about the changes in the marketplace that I've noticed are happening.
In my mind, you've been highly regarded and well known for networking and masterminding or running mastermind groups. But as you mentioned earlier, you've been noticing something different. So what in your experience is working now? Let's talk about networking first.
Okay, networking is very different from when I started networking back in the 80s. Yes. So it's a long time ago. And in those days, it was the old boys network. So It was a totally different marketplace.
Yes.
And there weren't women working in business, let alone going out there
and
doing it. I was,
Yes.
But no, it wasn't a norm. And there were a couple of other people that we all started at the same time. There was three of us. All working in different areas. I went to small business, the other went into corporate. I think we start to teach the skills, and about 9 years ago, I realised that people still weren't getting what we'd been teaching, and I've been running courses since the very early 90s, running actual courses, teaching people.
Yes.
But of course, you teach people some skills, and in those days there wasn't the internet like it is now. So people would learn, but they didn't get they moved on. There were more people coming into the marketplace.
Yes.
So it meant we weren't able to duplicate it in those days like you can duplicate now. But the marketplace is very different because 35% of people today, in Australia anyway, I think it's global, but in Australia, are under 20. And then we have a very large, and I got these statistics yesterday, and then we have a very large number of the baby boomers. So even say over the 50-55.
Yes.
So we've got this group in the middle. And because they're the different generations, each generation
and now growing up with technology,
thinks differently, communicates differently. And this is why today you have to be very aware when you're networking.
Yes.
The difference in the generations.
Yes.
So there's a lot of kids out there, what I call kids out there doing it, mid-20s down. Yeah. And then you've got the mid-20s, and there's some really high rollers in that area. Yeah. They up until probably about the 45 mark. And then you've got the 45, and they sort of melch in to move in because they've got the values. They're the X generation, and they sort of understand the values of the boomers.
Yes.
So they're very different, the generations, but they all network and they communicate differently.
Is that because of the technology, or because they're
just different generations,
different attitude?
Different attitude. Yes. We grew up knowing there was always a job.
Yes.
There was always going to be something, and life was pretty static.
Yes.
People did what their father did, what their grandfather did. That was the way it was. And then the kids came in, the ex-kids. So they're the kids under the 50 mark.
Yes.
Until about 35, that sort of 40 mark. That sort of mark. And they carried the values of their parents, of the boomers.
Yes.
So most of them will say they don't like the Y generation because they're very, very critical of the Y generation. Yeah. But they do move between the two.
Yes.
And then you've got, of course, now we've got the millennials who are different again. Now, for kids growing up today and the millennial, the under early 20s, they're not guaranteed a job. They have to be highly skilled. They expect and they're told they can come out earning an enormous amount of money, which isn't truth. They can't see a future because everything is changing so much. And I do believe there's an enormous future out there.
The employment.
People are having to create their own.
Right.
It's a different thing.
Yeah.
Whereas once
partly the casualisation of the workforce as well.
And once it was the entrepreneurs that had their own, and the others worked who weren't entrepreneurial.
Yes.
But now we have to become, everybody has to become entrepreneurial.
Yes.
There are not the jobs. There's not going to ever be the jobs again.
Yes.
People are going to have to find ways to be creative and create.
And to break into the higher income side
That's
of it
right.
as well.
And as well as that, I think one of the biggest challenges out there are for people to understand they've got to go through a process. They have to network. Yes. They have to get out there. So communities are coming in closer. Yeah. Now, the Y generation, and especially the millennials, are great networkers. They don't network the way we used to network. Yes. It's very different, but they're community-based, very community-based.
I remember about 14 years ago, I worked for or managed a contract for the Australian government, and part of that was encouraging businesses to network together, which I believe they should be doing today. But on the Sunshine Coast, we're managing to get anywhere between 400 and 600 business people to a networking event in the evening. Now, I don't think that's possible today in the current climate, but it was purely networking. People came out to meet people, introduce themselves, generate leads, and sort of follow up from there. But it's very, like you said,
networking's different now.
It's very different
now. Networking is different now. Because of the internet, it's all about building trust.
Yes.
So I love social media.
Yes.
I've got 39 social media sites, so I'm very much... Social media is everything to me. Now, the one thing with social media that is different is it gives us the opportunity to meet, to connect with people we would never meet.
Yes.
That's the use of it.
Yes.
It's not, to me, from a networking perspective, it's nothing else.
Yes.
But to meet the people that you decide you want to connect with, that you can then from there...
Things like Facebook and LinkedIn.
Yep. And then from that perspective, you can then grow from that by meeting the people face to face.
Yes.
But it gives you the opportunity to find out who people are, who you would never meet.
Yes.
Now, I look at my circle of business people.
Yeah.
I would have never met any of them without the internet.
Yeah. I saw I listened to a podcast coming out of Europe, and a guy wrote a book about called Social Vitamins. It was really about networking online through social media. And this alludes to what you're talking about as well. He found that we have a broader base of connections and people we might call friends through social media or build to friends. But we still have a desire for face-to-face. And so the mix, and just your opinion on this, because what I've read into it is that the mix of networking online, connecting with people online, needs to be supported by an occasional face-to-face. So whether it's conferences, workshops, mastermind groups, to build that deeper relationship and then maintain it between those face-to-face get-togethers, is that he found that you can't, in his research, he found you can't really build a depth of trust and connections without some level of face-to-face on occasion.
To me, you need a lot of face-to-face to build that trust.
Yes.
And I think this is where the marketplace has changed so dramatically, because people buy on trust now.
Yes.
Whereas once, because there's so much on offer.
Yes.
People get very burnt because they buy and they don't necessarily trust the person. Now, I see it all the time, people buying things, spending a lot of money.
Yes.
And then getting very burnt and getting very angry, and they communicate it, because they're being charged far too much for what they're learning or getting from it, or they don't understand what they're getting from it, but they haven't built a relationship and they don't have necessarily a trust with that person.
Yes.
And to me, everything is on trust. If I don't trust somebody, have a certain level of trust, I won't buy their product.
Yes.
I won't even connect with them.
Yes.
I won't even connect with them on social media.
Okay.
So I'm very, very aware of the fact that if I'm going to work with anybody, I have got to have a certain level of relationship with them. And I suppose this is where a lot of my work, until I've spent a certain amount of time with you from a masterminding perspective, until I really know you and I trust you, and I trust you in my
inner circle,
my inner circle, you don't get in. You have to earn that.
So
I expect people to do that with me too. I have to earn their trust.
yes, exactly. That's right. And sometimes I think people give it away too much based on the self-proclaiming guru. Is that the right?
Well, I think the one thing that I find when I'm researching anyone, and I research everyone,
Yes.
and I am a stalker, I talk about that a lot. I'm very happy to be a stalker because I want to know who you are before I really even connect with you.
Yeah.
Even with Facebook
Yes.
or LinkedIn,
And
I've checked you out.
And everyone, I would think any savvy business person would check out people they want to connect with.
I want to
different
know
links.
who
Yes.
they're connected to.
Yes.
I want to know their type of conversation, the way they communicate.
Yes.
I want to know the communication type of the people who are communicating with them.
Yes.
So I'm very much into the style of the person, the way their brain processes information. What is their personality style? What is their sensory style? What's their love language? How do they communicate?
Yes.
Because this is what teaches me about them.
Yes.
So I am looking all
It
the
gives you
time
those
with every
insights into
person
them, yes.
to find out about the people.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to work with somebody, I want to have an idea of who they are, where they're at, where their learnings are. It's got nothing to do with intelligence. It's a lot to do with emotional intelligence.
So what about networking today? You mentioned it
Very
earlier.
different today.
Yeah, about
Whereas once
what
we
you
would...
get out of it or whether you get as much out of it.
I don't do a lot of networking now. I'm going to start doing a little bit more.
Yes.
But I haven't been doing a lot of networking. I've been doing a lot of writing about it because as I'm working through all the changes and noticing the changes that are happening, and yes, I do have some networking groups I go to, but I'm very low key in the networking. Whereas once I could walk into a room and know virtually everyone there in Brisbane, now I don't know many people in them because they're all a new crop of people out there. And the generations network very differently, whereas when we started networking, everyone networked the same. But it's very different now because we're more aware generationally, I suppose, but they do it differently.
And how do you mean by do it differently?
From my perspective...
Is it deeper, shallower, or they just try and get too much too quick?
They try to get it too quick.
Yeah.
There's not a depth there. I don't believe networking can give... You can't build the relationship
Yes.
via networking.
Yes.
You'll meet the people through networking.
Yes.
And then you take
Need
it...
something beyond that.
You take it beyond
Yes.
that to develop the relationship.
Yeah.
And depending on why you want to.
Yes.
I think people develop relationships for the sake of developing a relationship, and it's never going to become anything. So it comes back to why are you networking? So if you're going to go out networking, you've got to know why you're doing it.
Yes.
What is the outcome you want from it? I teach people, you goal set life, you goal set your networking.
Yes.
There's no sense in just going to something for the sake of going to it unless you have a purpose.
Yeah.
So I find a lot of people today don't understand their own personal purpose, let alone their business purpose, or where the vision and where they're going, what's the big picture. Everything's hit and miss, everything is instant. For a business to be successful, you have to be able to know what is the big picture that is so out of where you are now, but it's what do you see it's going to be and can become. Once you understand, you have the vision of where you want to go, you can start putting in place to get there. Now, this might be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the track, depending on what it is you want and what you're prepared to put in. But because we live in a time when it's an instant society, people want it all now. You can't have it now. Relationships don't... Very occasionally... I will occasionally meet someone and I've known them forever.
Yes.
And I will know them forever. But that's pretty rare, especially around a networking scene. I'm not into big groups in networking because I think large groups you're not going to get any outcomes. Networking today isn't about business cards as such. I believe everyone needs to have business cards. I very rarely give out a business card. I have them there. Mm-hmm. A business card I will give out more when somebody is looking for something, and I'll say, contact me and I'll introduce you to someone.
Yes.
I will use it more so they can contact me for a particular reason that we talked about.
All right.
Whereas once people just changed.
Yes.
I used to say, if you don't get rid of 500 or 1,000 business cards in so many months, you're not networking. I would say now, if you're getting rid of a lot of business cards, you don't understand networking.
Yes. Okay.
Totally different. The marketplace is different. People do it differently because we have the online presence.
Yeah. I find with networking, it's a really mix of different attitudes and different age groups as well. But I find, and I'm the same, I don't network anymore. I think for businesses, you can outgrow the need to network once you get to a certain size or a certain level of success. But
I disagree with that.
Okay.
And there's a reason I'll say that, because I've been watching it out in the marketplace.
Yes.
And hearing people say, I don't network anymore, I'm so busy I don't have time to.
Oh, okay, okay.
So they stop networking.
Yes.
Because business is going so well.
Yes.
But what happens when it'll drop? Because all businesses have a cycle.
Yes, exactly.
And
that's
we
right.
go up and down and
Yeah.
up and down. The aim is to get it that you're going like that rather than like that. But you have to know, and especially when you're going up, that's when you need to be doing more networking already before you're going to do the slump. You have to understand the way business rolls. And then people say, there's no business. I say, but you don't network anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, but I had so much.
And what I suppose I should have said that when I network and I don't feel the need to network as much, it's not about chasing down new business. For me, is that your phone? No? Okay. So when I network, it's really to maintain relationships and to keep...
That's what networking is about. It's maintaining.
Yes, exactly. And that's really important because, like you said, if the business cycle goes down, the sales cycle goes down, you need to have something in the back to...
Well, you have to stay top of mind.
Exactly, that's right.
And the one mistake a lot of people make is they don't understand to get a sale is between 7 up to now 14 touch points before you get a sale.
Yes.
That's a lot of contact.
Yes.
And it's got to be in a lot of different mediums.
Yes.
You can't just use one.
Meetings, that's right.
So there's a lot of different ways to get those touch points through using a lot of different mediums.
Yes.
And people start to see some success.
Yes.
And they think, I don't need to do this anymore. I have all my sites. I keep top of mind.
That's true.
I keep top of mind.
Yes, that's right.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants something, they know, well, if I contact Jennie Gorman, if she doesn't know, she'll know who does.
That's exactly right. You are known for the people connector. There's no doubt about that.
So this to me is really important, and this is what everybody needs to be doing.
Yes. I also find that while I network, not because I'm chasing new business, is to maintain the relationships. But I find that when I go to regular meetings, whether it's a meetup or a business group or a business networking event, the depth of relationships happens outside of that. When I meet someone over coffee or out for lunch, somewhere like that. And that's really when the relationship really
it starts.
Matures, or it starts. And really going to networking events, because you can't build a personal relationship with everybody at a networking event or online. So those one-on-one times when we meet for coffee, or I've met someone for coffee, and we can talk about whatever in a safe environment. But that relationship really starts for me then, and that's when I get to really know and trust that person.
And that takes time to get to know and trust someone. Because today, the one thing I say to people all the time, because people ask it, is about profile pages on social media. The most important page you have there is not your business page, it's your profile page, because that's where people want to know who you are. The way, when I first started social media, I never had anything on profile page, anything about what I did or that sort of thing. But the marketplace has changed. And that's why I have so much social media, because they're all geared into different things. We know that we need to be able to separate into little boxes so people can find what it is what they want. But they want to know who the person is they're going to buy from.
Yep.
So I have learned that people want to know what I do. Who am I? Where's my humanness?
Yes.
And this is really important because people say, oh, I don't want to talk about that. And I said, well, if you want to get a following, start talking about cats.
Yep.
I am not personally a cat lover, but I will talk about cats, and I cat sit too. But I'm not a cat person. I'm a dog person. But it's the cats that gets people in, not the dogs. They love dogs.
Yes.
But the difference is 50% dogs to 100% cats. In who's going to like what you do or comment or anything else.
Yes, I've got to work towards setting a picture up of a cat, preferably a cat drinking coffee and doing yoga at the same time.
Sounds like fun. So, but it is pictures of. It's astounding.
Yes.
It's playing with it and seeing what your audience wants and needs.
Yes, letting people have a look behind the scenes to see...
Who are you really?
Yes, exactly, that's right.
How do you live your life?
Yes.
I talk about everything I do. I talk about where I'm going and what I'm doing, who I'm meeting. I'm very much into highlighting people's names.
Yeah.
An advantage is they see it.
Yes.
But it also gives anyone who's connected to me an opportunity to say, well, who is that person? What do they do? So it opens a door for someone else.
That's right.
And I just don't put anyone. If I put your name up there, it's because I like you and I trust you. I don't do that for any. So and then if it's a client I'm working with personally, I don't ever talk about that either. From that, I will talk about it from a masterminding, if that's okay within the mastermind. So I will talk about people from that. Sometimes people will say, who's your mastermind group? I say, well, that is confidential. I can't. They will tell you if they want you to know. So there's different levels. Masterminding to me is where you build the relationship. That's where you really build the trust.
Yeah, so let's continue on to masterminding, because you work a lot now with masterminding and running mastermind groups. So, and you've done that for a while, so several years.
9 years. 9 years now, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
So my process is very different from anybody else's out there.
So for the sake of the audience, what is masterminding in your opinion? What is masterminding?
Masterminding is putting a small group of people together who from a personality profile would never normally connect.
Okay.
So that I work, when I put a room together, that we cover the full spectrum. I use wealth dynamics.
Yes.
So we fool the full spectrum, because my aim is to open the peripheral vision of every person in that room.
Yes.
The person they're going to learn best from is their opposite personality style, and it's a personality that they're probably never going to connect with.
But it's also a very much in the room, whatever you say stays in the room.
Highly confidential.
Yes.
Highly confidential, limited numbers.
In limited numbers being, what's an ideal size group?
No more than 6.
Okay.
And then they've got me as well.
Yes.
But 6 people max.
Yes.
Your 4 is very successful too, 4 and 6 depending on the people, as long as I'm covering that spectrum.
Yes.
Because the aim is to open. Now, my masterminding is different in as much that everybody's business...
I would have said 4 to 8, but 6 is perfect. Okay.
I found 6 is the perfect group.
Yeah. Okay.
8 can get, depending, you can get it... I've gone from 4 to 12. I've worked with those numbers.
Yes.
12 was impossible.
So at the moment, based on
6
experience,
is ideal.
Found, 6 to be ideal.
But 4 can be... I've got a group of 4 and they are the cream.
Okay.
And because of the personalities that are in it.
So a non-competitive environment, like...
Very non-competitive.
No 2 printers.
No, you can have that. It doesn't make any difference.
Oh, okay.
Because they're going to be a different personality style.
Oh, okay. Right, you based it on that.
They're going to look at it from a different... So everything is based on style of individual now.
Yes.
I do it very different now to what I did a few years ago. Masterminding has evolved dramatically. Every group I do, every session I run, I learn something new. And I'm one of these people who chops and changes the way I do it. The aim of masterminding for me, and where I'm different from anybody else, is every person in that room, we are there as a group to work on their business for them, with them.
Okay.
So it's not about, I'm going to teach social media this time or bring in a speaker on that, and that's what the session is about. No, where your challenges, because social media may not be a challenge to you. Why am I going to waste your time? So the aim is everybody has equal amounts of time, and the group is working on each individual's needs,
that hot seat
goals,
type
whatever.
Approach, yeah.
Yeah, but the formula doesn't necessarily have a hot seat, but they have time. They have exactly the same amount of time.
Oh, okay. So you work, everyone has a chance to.
Everybody has exactly the same amount.
Up.
I'm very much with
or successes. I imagine challenges and/or successes.
We goal set. We We do over a 6-month program.
Okay.
They do 2 lots of 90 day goals, and there's 5 goals I want you to achieve in 90 days.
Yes.
So in 6 months, you've got 10 big goals that you're going to achieve. It is the group's responsibility to help you achieve those. Because what happens, most people's challenges are what they are not good at.
So
I'm a great outsourcer. I believe if you do what you're good at and not worry about the others and get someone else to support or do for you what you're not good at, why would I get someone to do my books if can't do books? I have a bookkeeper and I have an accountant because that doesn't interest me. If I need where my skill sets I need, I put those people around me.
I used to sell and install mid-range accounting programs. So everything from cash book to general ledger to manufacturing recipes, things like that. But I hate bookwork. I hate bookkeeping. So it's the first thing I always outsource. So like you said, if you don't like it, why do it? Or don't. Yeah, you can't do it. Don't do it. Yeah.
And this goes with everything. And each personality style.
Yes.
We have different skill sets.
Yes.
So the aim for me in Masterminding is to cover as many skill sets and all personality styles.
Yes.
So this is why, for me, just because someone wants to be in Masterminding, they may not be a fit. A mastermind group starts, for me, to develop the group from the very first person who signs into that group that I accept.
Yes.
And then I start building around them the room.
Yes.
Because I know what skill sets I've got covered.
Yes.
And I know where I'm sit. And I know what I need to so they all complement. So it's a very different... People take in... I was reading something last time. They're talking about 200 people in a mastermind group. And I'm thinking, how do you build... You can't build trust. No one in mastermind... It's like networking. No one's going to talk bottom line. Nobody's going to talk IP. All those things that are highly confidential. You sign confidentiality agreements when you come into my mastermind groups. Because you're going to be talking about stuff.
But challenges, real challenges... raw,
and I need help.
Facts, yes,
I can't
right.
do this, and someone will say, "Well, I can do that for you. I can help you with that."
Yes,
and then this is what because
yes.
So the whole aim is most of the things that happen within my groups are solved within the group. So not only do
which is the power of the group, really.
The power of the group, and this is why it's so important covering the whole spectrum.
Yes.
Because it's having people with the skill sets that can support each other. And not only that, you then get free help because they all support each other. Because if you're not giving, you're not going to be receiving. It's a two-way.
Yes.
You do it. So, of course, you put a group of minds together and you've got some hundreds of minds. Because I have my mind... We put our mind, we get together in ours. We've got 3 minds, mine, yours, and together. Different mind. Put another person in the mix, and then you've got more minds.
Yes.
And so the minds develop, depending as another person comes in.
And the person develops as well.
Masterminding to me is a very big personal development journey.
Yes.
Because it causes you to open up and see the world in a way you would have never seen it before.
And you throw challenges to the group as well. Or individuals within the group.
Of course. Yeah. Because, and I'm very much, accountability to me is really important. It's one of my highest, what's the word I can use? You know, to me it's the highest. I want accountability. If you're not going to be accountable. So I observe people to look at the accountability, the responsibility, the reliability, who they are as people. If I know someone's always going to run late for a meeting, or someone's not going to do certain things that they said they were going to do, or whatever, I'm not going to take them ever into a group. Why would I take them in a group? They've proved to me in life they're not accountable, they're not responsible, and they're not reliable. I'm not going to take them in because that's going to affect the people, other people I put in a room. So people don't realise that they are being observed all the time in the way they do life. Because of the way they do life is the way they show up. And if they don't do life from the perspective that I would expect it as a business person.
Yes, that's right.
And I don't believe there's any difference between who you are as a business person and as a personal person. I believe it's all the same. If you've got a challenge at home, you're going to have it in work. If you've got a challenge at work, you're going to have it at home. That is the way it goes. So it's important for me when we start a meeting, I want to know where everybody is at, personally and business-wise. Where have you been the last fortnight? How are you? What's happening? I'm going to know how I can kick butt or not kick butt.
Okay.
So, you know, it's it is very different from the way anyone else does it.
Yes.
But I've created the formula over hundreds of people.
So I think we should wrap up because we've been talking for a while. So just correct me if I'm wrong. Talking about networking. People should network strategically.
Very strategic.
You shouldn't just go and throw out cards at a networking event.
That's right.
You should be networking in the mind that when you're successful, you still need to be networking to be top of mind. And also grow those benefits. Networking has changed as well as over time, but between different, and we've both seen that. Over time with the different generations as well. Then we move into what we spoke about, masterminding. And there's the power of masterminding, which is the small groups. Ideally for you, your groups are 6. Everything's confidential within the group. The group members support the group members support each other with the challenges as well as celebrating the successes. And the also having a facilitator like yourself in the mastermind groups keeps everybody on track, and with the confidentiality agreements, people can share really well and then build trust. To build trust within the mastermind group and work towards whatever their personal and business goals are. So in summarising for the mastermind groups. And I'll just mention that I don't see enough people being involved in groups to support their business, because I see solo operators, whether we're running a $10 million turnover or a $100,000 turnover, if they try and be a solo operator, in my mind, they can really suffer the risk of burnout, of keeping things in too much, and not getting support when they really need it.
And they're lonely.
Loneliness, exactly.
Loneliness is what's coming out. I'm finding in networking groups people are talking about loneliness.
Yes.
They're caught at home behind their computers.
Yes. And they can't talk to
and they're lonely.
Yes.
And they need to get out. I need to get out and see some people and meet it. And this is, I hear this every day. So it's really, that never used to be there in the past.
But people do learn things as well. Some networking groups are based around, we have a guest speaker.
Oh, of course, of course. And having somebody doing that is a really good idea.
Yes.
I run power hours every week.
Yes.
They're 2 hours where it is to support people, and of course it's an open environment, so it's very different from masterminding, but it is, where's your challenge, what's going on in a particular area, how do we help you? And as a group, the people who are there are there to help people. No more than a dozen people, because it's too unwielding, as I found out, to get round everybody to really support them. But I think that to meet people, networking is a must, but you also have to understand the rules of networking. And most people don't understand it's a skill. Networking is a skill. Learn the things you need to do. Be on time. Always be early for a meeting. Know why you're going. Have set goals and don't leave until you achieve them. And never run out at the end of a meeting. Stay on and wait. Because that's when the networking starts.
I found that too.
It's after the meeting. It's not during the meeting.
Yeah, I used to organise short, sharp networking meetings. A lot of people. And that was okay for just getting to know and introducing yourself to somebody, but you couldn't build trust until you went and had a coffee with someone outside of that environment. But when the meeting officially finished, and people hung back, that's when the real conversation started. Exactly, that's right.
Say, well, let's get together and have coffee, or go and have a drink, or dinner, or something, because the conversation starts.
That's when it starts. That's right, and it builds depth when you get to meet what people one-on-one.
And understanding that networking is different for people who are introverts to who are extroverts. An introvert long-term is a far...
conversation, that one.
Well, the introvert is a far better networker than an extrovert.
Yes.
They do it very differently.
Yes.
They are strategic in how they do it.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to it, after a period of time, they're a far better networker. So it's a matter of, there are skills. Yeah. They're not hard.
Yeah.
Anybody can learn them, depending on who the personality type of the person really is, the skills they need to learn.
Would you, can you tell us where people can find out more about your work with the masterminding groups? What's the website?
Facebook's probably the easiest way, because everybody is online. Yeah. So if they go to Jennie Gorman on Facebook,
that's JennieGorman,
jenniegorman.com.au, or on Facebook, Jennie Gorman on Facebook.
Yes.
They will find me there.
Yeah.
And just start a conversation. I do a lot of messaging, a lot of talking.
Yes.
Outside what's not seen by the public with people, because I find Facebook is probably, and Messenger that's the way it is done now. It's very different to the way it used to be. Yeah. That will be over a phone even. Yes. It saves time. Time, we all have 24 hours a day, and we all have 7 days in a week. And some people manage time better than others. I find with people, especially who are new to business, time management is really difficult for them. And that's something that comes up a lot. People talk about
time management.
They really struggle with the time management.
Yes.
Because they don't really know what they're doing or why they're doing it, or they don't really understand the basics. It's the foundations of business that have got to be in place. But and masterminding, business mastermind groups for people who are interested in that. .com.au is my website. So it's up to people if they want to make contact with me.
Thank you. We might finish it there.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining Jennie and I as we spoke about networking and mastermind groups. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in contact with Jennie Gorman on Facebook, or jenniegorman.com. And I'll have a link in the notes below on the video. So thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.